Here's another one. Tim Winton, the famous Australian author, his dad used to be a chief inspector of police over me, and everyone was petrified of Chief Inspector Winton. So, but you know Tim, and you had a chat with him. I mean, this is the author of Cloud Street and a range of other books and so on.
Yeah, no, Tim's an old friend. Slightly reclusive guy in a lot of ways, Tim, and doesn't like a lot of attention. But he's a great guy. I like Tim a lot. And he's got an unusual way of thinking. If you've read Tim's books, which obviously a lot of people have, you'll see that he has an unusual way of thinking, but he's just the most wonderful dad. Because he wrote a lot at home, he often had the kids on his, carrying the kids around, changing nappies and things like that. So he's very close and connected to his 3 kids, still is. Also, Tim had some great ideas, and in the book there's a photo of Tim in Paris with Harry, one of his kids, standing in front of Notre Dame. The thing is that Tim hated all that travel and all that fuss, book tours and launches, hated it. And he took his kids with him on these trips. And this is brilliant. This is brilliant, taking a kid on a trip, work trip or any other trip. He took them one at a time, so he didn't have Denise with him, just him and just one of the kids. And this has turned out to be a big win. In fact, there's a whole chapter on there, Hayden. There's a chapter on taking your kids on trips. And I say that because I went to a conference and someone had read that chapter. And he had a 14-year-old daughter. I'll never forget this. I remember exactly where I was standing. He had a 14-year-old daughter, and he actually came running up to me because he was waiting for me to tell me this story. He said, "I read that chapter in your book about work trips, the Tim Winton trick." He said, "My 14-year-old daughter and I were like this, as can sometimes happen with 14-year-old girls. So I said, 'Do you want to come to Paris with me on this trip?' And anyway, she went. 5 days conference with Dad, and then they had a week together or so. And he said to me, and this is the reason he came running up to me, he said, 'Now we're like this. We are like this. Just like that.' If he hadn't done the trip, they would still be like that. And he said, 'I overheard her talking to her friends, and she said to her friends,' well, it might have been her mum, sorry, I can't remember exactly who it was he overheard. But she said, 'They were the best 2 weeks of my life.' And then he stood there and he paused and he sort of tilted his head. And you know what, Bruce, he said, 'They were the best 2 weeks of my life as well.' It is such a brilliant tip to take your kids. And here's the key point, Hayden. One-on-one. It's not him and his mate, it's not him and his wife, and it's not him with 3 kids. He takes them one at a time.